It is the Riot Podcast. Good day.
So
Hudson
you'll
here,
hear Hudson
Nikki.
and me, of course.
Yep.
But today you'll also get to hear Isaiah, who's our new show producer.
Yes, and he's taking over a lot of the behind the scenes responsibilities from us, which is very nice. But also he'll be, if you're actually listening to the Riot live on the radio in some way, you'll hear him doing the news.
Yeah, and traffic and all that stuff.
You'll hear him popping in here on the show every once in a while. And,
basically, everything our boss was like, do we have to have you guys do it? So now Isaiah gets to do it.
Maybe he'll even take over doing this podcast intro.
No, I think that's fun. Well, you guys tell us. I think it's a fun way for us just to talk to you guys a little bit.
Yeah, privately, away from the rest of the audience.
Yeah, just between us and the podcast listeners. But if you're like, no, please, we get enough. We can also have Isaiah do the intro too. But I think I like doing it.
So we always, before we get to what's in the show today, we always ask for you to subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, rate, and leave a nice review.
Unsubscribing and resubscribing just pulls us back up into higher suggestions for other people to find us. So that's why we want you to unsubscribe, but subscribe right back again.
Yep, just literally click unsubscribe and then click resubscribe
and then
right
leave
away.
a review.
And so we have 2 new reviews. I've got one from Rebecca.
Oh,
She's
hey,
a
Rebecca.
long-time listener. She said she started listening to RadioU in college when she was in Ohio, but then she moved away from Ohio. And she was very bummed to leave her favorite morning show, but she was ecstatic when she found out we had a daily podcast.
Oh, yay.
And so she can listen in Maryland.
Wonderful. That's where Hudson's from.
My home state, and it's her favorite podcast.
Good.
So
thank you, Rebecca, for doing that review.
We also got, the person's name is Tamara, but their screen name is, I'm afraid to say, Humagus Johnson. It's okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
Humagus Johnson. And she says, listen, you won't regret it. I've been listening to this podcast for years, and every single day it makes me laugh until it hurts. They talk about all sorts of topics, and it's such a wonderful podcast.
Yay.
They are very interactive, and it's an easy listen. I wish I could give more than 5 stars.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Again, that helps our podcast. So leave a review, 5 stars if you can, and make sure you're subscribed and all set up.
And if you leave a nice review or a really mean one, either way, we might read it on this intro.
You could get featured. Yeah. Absolutely. So enjoy the podcast today. There is more than just Isaiah.
Yes, we talk with Isaiah on a few topics. We also talk about dating, how much is appropriate to spend, or at least not necessarily how much you should, but how much other people are.
Yeah, for first date sort of things.
So you can compare yourself to them. And then, I really enjoyed talking about the 12-foot skeleton outfits, because now that's a thing. I guess I just spoiled it a little bit, but the big
Home
giant,
Depot, giant skeleton. Home Depot has. They're wiser now. They have something to offer if you have the skeleton.
Yep. So if you already blew your budget on buying the skeleton last year, this year
you can afford something else.
You can spruce it up by getting some outfits for it.
Well, enjoy the podcast. As always, please say hi to us. Text 877-2RadioU. I didn't want that to sound desperate, but make sure you say hi, that you're a podcast listener. Let us know if you have a story you want us to cover. Send us a link to it, or join us at RadioU Riot on Facebook,
where you will also see
Isaiah.
Picture of Isaiah, and my shoes. People have been commenting on as well.
They caught the reflection of the glass of your shoes.
But at least they're nice about it.
You guys are sneaky.
Yeah. All right. Catch you next time.
Bye.
If you're looking for all the funny moments you missed during the riot, we apologize. You won't find them here. There weren't any. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
I have an answer for you, Nikki.
Okay. Do I need to come up with a question or what?
No, it's something you talked about yesterday. I think it was off the air, but you were like, why are there so many Russians at the Olympics?
No. Nope, I didn't say that.
I think that's what you said.
Hudson, I did not say that at all. I said I thought the Russians were not allowed to participate in the Olympics because of past Olympic scandals.
She said,
do you see the big difference?
Why are the Russians allowed at the Olympics?
No, didn't say that either. What are you doing? I didn't say that at all.
Nikki said,
I thought they were banned.
I thought the Russians weren't allowed to play. I thought that they were banned from the Olympics. Well, I have an answer kind of for you.
I was just curious because I thought, Russia had done some no-nos at the past Olympics.
Yes.
And I did not think they were allowed to participate. But then I saw Russian athletes who were, so I was just curious.
Yes. So here's what happened. The Russia, if you remember, the 2014 Olympics were in Russia.
Yeah.
And they actually...
Sochi? Was that
yes,
it?
Sochi. Yeah. And they made a documentary about it where they had a lab that was set up, like the testing lab for the Olympics, to test to make sure nobody at the Olympics was using performance-enhancing drugs.
Sure.
Overnight, they would swap out samples of Russian athletes through like a hole in the wall.
No way.
And swap them for clean samples.
And so they
didn't get caught.
Yeah.
But then they got caught in part, I don't remember
because
like the order of things.
Because it was just a hole in the wall.
Right. But there's actually a really interesting documentary about it called Icarus. If you ever want to look into it more, there was a Russian doctor that had to go into the United States in witness protection because he was involved, but he didn't want to, like he was a whistleblower kind of thing. And 2 of the other doctors wound up dead.
No.
So it was a very serious thing. And obviously, even the Olympic Committee couldn't turn a blind eye to that as much as they normally would. So now Russia has athletes at the Olympics. However, it has to be athletes that have never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs before. And then they're not allowed to display like the Russian flag and play the Russian anthem if they win medals and stuff like that.
I think that's good if it's not worth punishing athletes who had nothing to do with any of that stuff. But there's been a long history of holes in the wall.
Right.
In various ways.
And it's hard to divide a line, to draw a line between, well, the Russian athletes, these particular ones, as far as we know, are innocent.
Sure.
So why should they be punished? But also, if we're just keeping the Russian flag and anthem away and that's about all we're doing, how much, isn't Russia still really getting the glory out of it?
I don't know. I was curious, so that's what I was asking yesterday.
Yes, it is. That's what it is. It has to be somebody who's never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs whatsoever if you want to perform from Russia.
We've done you a favor by selecting the best of the worst and compiling it all in one place. Riot Podcast Radio U.
So this TikTok hack is that you get a duvet, you hook it up on your bed, and the duvet is it's like a
blanket.
Yeah, but
a comforter.
It's the cover. It's the cover of your comforter, right?
Well,
where you would normally put it over your comforter to make your comforter look different.
Well, you can have a comforter, but then you can also just buy a duvet that you shove your comforter in.
Right.
And you can use that too.
Yeah. And so
it's thinner material.
Right. It's like sheets material, the material of your sheets, but you would cover your comforter with it. And what people are doing on TikTok is because it's like a giant pillowcase, really.
Yeah.
They put it over the whole bed instead of, because you don't need a comforter in the summer
and they get
necessarily.
inside of,
and then hook up fans
to
blow inside the duvet.
I have seen this a bit in the United States TikTok world. Do you want to know mostly from what? From dog TikTok. Because people put their dogs in it and just let the air go all around them. So I've seen that a few times.
There you go. Yeah, but
you can do it as a human too.
Well, this bed almost seems to have dog stairs hooked up to it, so I think they may have pets, and so maybe that's part of it. But for this one, for at least a couple of them actually, it's not just like this is how they hook it up to sleep.
Yeah.
They've got like their laptop, and it looks like they are spending the summer in their bed with a fan blowing in their duvet tent, which actually sounds pretty wonderful. And during the heat dome we're dealing with this week,
so we have the heat
we're
dome
make
going
a cool
on
dome
here.
on our bedroom.
Yeah, you can have that. It's like a little like an igloo sort of sheet thing.
Yeah.
But basically in the UK, they had a heat wave not too long ago. And remember they don't have a lot of air conditioning. So this is where people were kind of hanging out for those weeks.
Yes, that actually makes a lot of sense. If you don't have air conditioning, this would be an MVP for you to just have the fan blowing right on you.
Laptop at the entrance to keep entertained and a water bottle to stay hydrated.
There you go. So if you're looking for another way to beat the heat, this will cut back on your air conditioner bill because you won't need to turn it down so low.
Not here. We're not turning it down. Like, we're keeping our air conditioning on.
Well, you might get in the duvet cover and you might realize I don't need the rest of the house to be cold. This is all I need right here. Yes.
You might be thinking that this won't be quite as bad the second time around. Well, you'd be greatly mistaken. You're listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
This was actually huge for Home Depot.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that they've given details about this being sold again, but there's another layer.
Yeah. So
See if you even have one.
I didn't know. Did you get one of the 12-foot skeletons?
I cannot have that. I'd be too embarrassed.
Oh. You know what?
I thought it'd be amazing.
As soon as you said I can't have that, I just thought your dogs would freak out.
Oh, if it was outside?
It would not accept a skeleton in your yard.
So,
I don't think.
I don't think so either. Home Depot had this 12-foot giant skeleton. It became all the rage of people of like trying to get it home and having to have this thing.
Another TikTok trend.
It was. And so Home Depot has announced that they are bringing back the 12-foot giant skeleton. That will be for sale again this year.
Yeah. And can you buy it online and get it shipped to your home?
Probably be. Oh, that was why they sold out in stores so much that people were even buying them in Canada and meeting them at the border so they could have someone bring the skeleton to have it cross the border.
Let's see. It looks like, they've released a new variant as well.
Is there a new version? What's the difference?
Well, if you go down to the bottom of the story and you click Home Depot site, it'll show you there's a spooky pumpkin variant as well.
He's too spooky.
Yeah, that's too scary. That's not as fun to me.
What's the one? Like Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, that's what it is. The Headless Horseman or something, but it's like either way, it's scary. But that's what the story is about. The story is about the giant 12-foot skeleton, which there is a new variant of. But what they've also done is they've created custom outfits.
Of course they have.
For your giant 12-foot yard skeleton for the holidays. So you can buy
these. How much are the costume kits?
The costumes, believe it or not, just $50.
It's not bad. You get a kit, so there's like a hat and a light jacket. There's a scarecrow costume kit, a witch costume kit, a Santa costume.
That's the one I wanted. I would love to have a Santa skeleton in my yard.
Gosh, it is so
for
weird.
Christmas. Because I really like The Nightmare Before Christmas, so that would really, really fit together well.
Does anybody have the 12-foot Home Depot, or do you know someone in your neighborhood who has the 12-foot Home Depot skeleton?
I'm looking at, because they have, like, the 12-foot skeleton was the big one, which, according to their website now, it looks like it may be sold out or not for sale yet, but you can get some of the other massive decorations. And some of these dragons, there are people in my neighborhood that have the giant dragons. And did you know you could pair your 12-foot skeleton person with a 6-foot skeleton horse?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that would be, I think the horse would have a hard time carrying that skeleton at that size, but either way, it's an option for you.
And I think the skeletons are $400 if I'm reading that correctly. Yeah. So this feels more like the eclectic neighbor who has money to spend.
Yeah, well, if you spend $400 on a skeleton, what's another $50 on an outfit or 2 or 3? You could swap them out every so often.
It is kind of funny.
And you get the Santa outfit, you get your money's worth out of that skeleton. You display him as many months of the year as you can.
That's right. Until your neighborhood association, if you have one, decides you can't have it anymore.
You're scaring the children.
You're scaring everybody, and you're
scaring the adults if you get the spooky version.
Worst of the Riot podcast.
It is a special morning on the Riot.
Bye, guys. See you later. No.
Nikki and I, it's going to be a lot easier for us to phone it in. Because
since Isaiah's here.
We brought in a new producer to the show. So we're introducing to you Isaiah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Isaiah.
Welcome.
Isaiah, we alluded to it last week. He's been here for a few days getting getting his feet wet, getting ready to go. And now today we finally get to know, well, I mean, we know him, but you get to know him a little bit more because he's actually allowed to talk.
You are. Good morning, Isaiah.
For the first time ever, they're actually allowing me to actually do something on air, which is an exciting day.
Yeah, it's huge.
You've been planning so much. You're like, no, but no one else can hear it.
They've been feeling me out for an entire week. They're like, can we let him on air? I don't know for sure.
Well, he's going to be handling some news starting tomorrow, and you'll hear him throughout the show as he helps make the Riot a better show.
Yeah, so we'll be bringing him in, obviously routinely from here on out. But this morning, if you want to ask any questions to get to know Isaiah,
just to
who
say
is this
hi.
guy
That'd be
that's
good.
invading the morning show? 8772 Radio U, text in. But we'll start with yesterday. It's a surprise that we're even letting Isaiah on the air.
Of course.
Because of his first day yesterday?
Because yesterday, it was the first day he got here first to the building.
Who else did you bring with you yesterday morning?
Who else did I bring with me?
Yeah, you brought 2 people.
I brought the police yesterday. I knew this would come up. I knew I wouldn't live this down, of course.
Well, the police said they wanted to be included in the show, too.
Yeah, of course.
Well, when Isaiah came in, we have, security systems here.
Yeah.
And, there was a mishap. And the police
Slight
came.
mishap.
And they were all very nice, and you didn't get in trouble. Because the first time Hudson got in trouble, because everybody who starts here Radio U sets the alarms off.
Yep.
You have to tell them about your Maryland driver's license.
Oh, yeah. When I didn't tell you about this, but it happened to me, similar to what happened to you. I was leaving the building, or somebody set the alarm, and I didn't know it while I was still here, something like that. I don't remember why I was having issues, but either way, I set off the alarm. I didn't get to the phone in time to tell them that it's just a false alarm. Don't worry about it. So the police show up.
And they never believe you when they show up first.
No, they never do. And so they show up, and they had a dog with them and stuff.
Oh, no.
And
it's a whole scene.
And so they were like patient with me and everything, but I give them my driver's license, and I had just moved. Like, I hadn't moved a week ago, but I had moved within the last couple months. And so I still had an old driver's license from when I was in Maryland.
From not this state.
Yeah, from a different state. And so the police is giving me a hard time. Is like, you really got to get this changed. What? Like, you need to go out and get this changed. And I'm like, man, it costs money to get it changed. Also, I don't even have like a real permanent address here yet. So can we hold off?
No, he's going to drive you over there.
Yeah, really. That's what I thought was going to happen. So that was you got off easy. You didn't even have to interact with them.
Yeah, I was kind of worried that I would have to go up there and like face, the music and talk to the police, and they get to like scold me about everything that happened. But thankfully Nikki was out there, so I just hid. I hid in the studio with Hudson for as long as possible.
Well, I had to laugh too, because then the police officers, it's almost like they're just making sure, because they're like, yeah, what happened, to see if I give the same story. Well, he's new. It's Isaiah. He's a part of the riot, and he set off the alarm, and I'm very sorry. And they're like, okay, it checks out.
If it was a movie, Isaiah would totally, like, we wouldn't get here in time.
No.
And Isaiah would try to make up, he would make up some story to the police. Where, oh no, I mean, I totally work here. But it would be the thing where the police could tell, they would think he's lying. Yeah, he doesn't work here. He would say it in the way like, yeah, it's and he looks at the U on the building. Radio U. Yeah.
I'm not here to steal things. But we always have to be careful, because the first police visit is free, but no joke, like any police visit after does cost us money. So everybody always gets in trouble. So your first one's on the house.
Now we're going to have some vindictive listener is going to come by and like set off the alarm.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, make sure you text and say hi to Isaiah as he joins the riot.
Yes.
And you'll start hearing him more and more tomorrow. But you just text 877 to Radio U and ask any questions or just say hi to him.
Yeah. Good to have you on the show, Isaiah.
Good to be
We're
with
looking
you
forward
guys.
to it.
Yay.
Don't say we didn't warn you. This is the worst of the riot.
Nikki?
Yeah?
Are you getting tired of this story yet?
Which story?
The Aaron Rodgers story.
Can we just decide? Or what is he doing? Can you just do it?
It seems that we
we're
have
all in the
reached a
game.
decision. You've got your wish. I've got my wish. Your wish is that the story will be over with. My wish is that Rodgers will come back to Green Bay for at least one more season, win a Super Bowl out of spite,
and then that's it.
And then leave. Hopefully.
Aaron Rodgers has been long talked about on if he'd go back and join the team.
Yes.
And then when we last spoke about this, you helped really explain that team wanted him to come back for like a 2-year contract.
Yep.
Real attractive deal. Would it be one of the most
been highest paid? Yep.
And he didn't want to seem to come back for the 2-year part, but instead, now that they've got this ironed out, he'll just be back for the 1 year, and then he can decide.
Yeah. So what the contract extension that would have made him the highest paid? It was an extension, so that would have added 2 years onto his deal that he already has, which has him there for a couple. I think it would have been like 4 or 5 years.
Oh,
he would have been
longer.
locked in there. So that's a big commitment from the Packers, especially when he's pretty old. However, he just won the MVP, so he's pretty good. But he didn't want that. What he wants is flexibility. And for this season, he kind of his options were limited. The Packers clearly weren't going to trade him, but he's very frustrated with the organization. So his choices at this point, because training camp starts tomorrow, is either continue to hold out and not get paid, or retire, also not get paid, and potentially, like, that might make it harder for him to get moved in the future. So his other option is come back in some way. What they seem to have agreed to, it's not official yet, but the reports are that he is going to sign a new deal, a different kind of contract extension. It's going to keep him there for this year. After this year, the Packers will review the situation with him and see if the necessary changes have been made or can be made next offseason to where he might stay then. And then in 2023, he's really, he can void the contract.
Sure.
So after next season, he can just leave if he wants to.
Like, I know there's fighting, when mom and dad fight. It's awkward when I feel like for him in Green Bay, it seems like that's just overshadowed everything else.
Yes.
And it feels like if you have like a favorite show and the two actors hate each other.
Yeah.
Like, to me,
if you're a Fast and the Furious fan,
like,
and you really like Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Vin Diesel, but they can't get along.
Yeah, like I can't help but when I see it, I remember that part of it. So when I watch anything with Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, well, he hates Green Bay. Like that. It's always in my mind. And I'm like, well, just why don't you break up or get over it and just go back to playing?
No, you're so right. I actually, I was thinking about this more because I kind of thought it was just like, I guess there's just no way he's coming back. But I was thinking, because the thing that set all of this in motion is last year when the Packers drafted another quarterback in the first round.
And they didn't tell him.
They didn't even tell him.
There wasn't pre-talk.
And I thought, that's like if you've been married for years and as the Packers, you've been married to Aaron Rodgers, and then all of a sudden you're just going to start swiping on Tinder, no,
that was you got yourself another wife.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the whole ceremony.
You have a mistress on the side.
You do.
That's pretty much what they did.
It's not just app dating. Yeah. That was another step.
Well, that was a kind way of putting it, and even that would be like, no, you don't. So, not when you've been married for so long. So,
I know why he was upset.
Yeah, he had a right to feel disrespected, and then every other quarterback in the league, like former quarterback, was like, you would never do that. So, I'm glad that they've worked it out for this season. And again, I've been on Aaron Rodgers' side, but I am a Packers fan. I want him to win a Super Bowl out of spite. Just take that, Green Bay.
And I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Now I'm out of here. Yep. And he can go to Miami or whatever.
So Aaron Rodgers is going to be doing the one season with Green Bay, and then they'll look at it later.
The definition of insanity is putting the riot on again and again and expecting a better result. It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
Message in and say hello to Isaiah, the new show producer.
Yay, joining the riot.
And ask some questions to get to know him as well, as we've had a few people do.
Yeah, so Bridget says hi.
Hello.
She just wanted to text it.
It's an easy one. We'll start you with a softball.
Perfect.
Say good morning. And then Zach, we were talking last hour. Isaiah, when he came in yesterday, it was like his first time before everybody else got in.
Yeah.
And the alarm system was activated and the police were called and we're good and safe. But he was saying that a couple of times he set off the alarms when he worked at a bank branch. And most of the times they got the call. Because, like, if you guys don't know this, if you set off an alarm, a security company calls you first.
Yeah.
And then they say, hey, is everything okay? And then you got to confirm and stuff.
Which I imagine would be really great in an actual emergency. You're like, help, somebody's trying to cut my head off.
But they have to make sure. And then he was saying he was in a small village and the police chief just came in. It was talking for a minute and then finally asked, is everything okay? Because it was coming in thinking it was being robbed. So he just wanted to let you know that everybody's done that.
Even at a bank.
Before I went on air, Nikki goes over all these rules. She's like, you can't do this, can't do this. But I had no idea they were going to do backstabbings right on air. I thought for sure we'd like skip right over the whole police part.
Oh, no.
No.
Where else can you get the police called on you? And then 24 hours later, just go right on air. So,
publicly get called out for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is we'll never forget it also.
Yeah,
of course
It'll
not.
always be like, this is Isaiah. His first time here, he got the police called on him, and he has a dog named Jim.
Exactly. There's nothing else to know. Those are all answers right there.
That's the two things that everybody's going to want to ask you the most about.
Nikki said she was going to post a picture of Isaiah. I think you also need to get a dog picture.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody will want to see the dog more than
I was
Isaiah.
telling him, I think it'd be awesome if you brought your dog to work. But then I didn't think that one through because then you have to commit to having your dog here the whole day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that, with your dog, if that's going to work.
He's pretty good most of the time, but when he gets in those moods, he's just like a little weasel. He's like a squirrel that just runs around. He kind of looks like one too. He kind of looks like a wiener dog type, like weasel mix. He's a basset hound, but he's really good for like 90% of the day, but you just don't want to be around him for that 10%.
And
Can you bring a little doggy bed or something?
Literally. He's a puppy too. He's only 4 months old.
So I'm
he's
thinking
just a little guy.
He could either chew on stuff or like all the cords and the station just goes off the air.
Oh, I would love that.
Or he pees everywhere is the other option.
Hey, my dog has peed in the TV studio.
Oh, wow. Well, at least it's not carpets in there.
I know, it's at least on that, but I was like, please, my dogs can only come in for a few minutes and then they get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Well,
was there other questions?
Yeah, Katie said she was just checking because we do a lot of food fights here. Do you like Hostess snack cakes or Little Debbie? Which one do you prefer?
That's a tough one. For me, it probably has to be Little Debbie. And for one reason and one reason only.
Okay.
The little mini muffins.
Oh,
those are the little blueberry mini muffins.
Yep.
Those are like a breakfast go-to for me if I really want to be bad. Those are one of them.
Okay, first off, those aren't bad.
Yeah. If I want to be be though, if I want to eat something in the morning that just
I don't know if you're going to fit in here if that's being bad.
We're going to really change you. We got a lot of work to do with you then.
Yeah.
Ashley says, hi, welcome to the family. I need to know your favorite food and dessert.
Oh, goodness. My favorite food has changed over the years, but as of late, it's probably lasagna.
Okay.
I love lasagna.
Good choice.
And then dessert-wise, my go-to before bed every night is Oreos and milk.
Oh,
no doubt every
there you
night.
go.
Always.
If that's considered a real dessert, but if I want to get like an actual dessert, it might be like a peanut butter pie is a really good one, or maybe a cookie cake.
Ooh.
Oh,
see now, okay, he's redeemed himself.
Yeah,
he's back
there we
in.
go.
He's back
as
in.
long as you're eating that stuff for breakfast also.
Yeah, exactly.
sometimes.
Oreos in the morning as well, of course.
Yeah,
you know?
obviously.
And every single day.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. Well, this is Isaiah. He's joining the Riot. He's our new show producer, and you'll just hear him throughout the show, and he'll be doing some news, and it's just nice to have him part of things. So text and say hi, 877 to Radio U. His first official time starting will be tomorrow on air with us, but he just wanted to say hi to everybody today.
Yeah, thanks, Isaiah, for coming in.
Anyone can under-promise and over-deliver. Except these two. The Riot, Radio U.
Dating. People are getting back out there. We talked recently about how to date is one of the top things being searched on Google recently. It's hit its 5-year peak.
It is. They said this summer that everybody was Googling how to date like in person and just how to go back into the dating time.
Yep.
And not everybody was remembering. So a lot of Google searching to learn about some tips for it.
Well, now we've got a lot of data on dating. Dating data.
Yeah, that works.
And it comes from a survey that was done by dating.com, which sounds like the fake dating website that you make. I met him on dating.com.
Sure I did.
Right.
Yes,
it was
I
dating.com.
did.
Yeah, that's where we met.
I wonder how how dating websites do compared to now? So many people just use, like a dating app.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if dating websites still do well.
I feel that there's probably not a lot of like dating.com. I've never heard
sure
of
they
it.
have an app.
But they probably have an app, and it's just the name that they had since they launched in the 90s, and they still kept it.
Yeah, I guess just because I haven't heard of them before.
But they did a survey of several people that are single, that are ready to get out and date. And here's what some of the things they found. First of all, 75% of singles plan to spend more than $100 on their first date. This is all talking first dates, okay?
Mm-hmm.
First in-person dates. 75% of singles plan to spend more than $100 on a meal for a first date.
Like together, or like you are eating $100 worth of food? Or is it both of you together?
Man.
That's a lot.
We
Way
went
to
out,
go.
He was nice, but he was really packing it in.
And sometimes it depends on your style. Some people don't want to eat around a new person, but then others you're like, no, if whoever's paying, we're eating.
Yeah.
You're saving up.
Well, on that note, this one, I guess I've been married long enough that I didn't really realize that. I just thought, the old traditional thing is that, of course, the guy would pay on the first date, but only 45% of respondents, 45% feel indifferent about who pays.
Sure.
The majority think that the person who initiated the date should pay. So
that's fine.
Yeah, whoever is the asker is the one who pays. And I think that's actually a really good way to do things.
And just plan on it being over $100.
Yeah, apparently.
That's going to be the first date.
Feels like a lot, but some people, 65%, say that if they took their first date on an excursion outdoors, 40% of that 65% say they would spend more than $500.
Where's all this money coming from?
On a first date? What are you doing?
Maybe that's because this is online dating and not app dating.
Yeah.
I can't do that. You can't do $500.
I don't even, this is a different world than I would ever experience. For me, I always thought the first date would be, you want to keep that one super casual.
Oh, yeah.
You do
like
coffee shop or whatever.
date.
Yeah, you do something super simple. And if you can't keep each other engaged for that long, then you don't need to go any further.
But this is showing you this isn't all like us, because they're saying more than 20% of those surveyed are planning an international getaway for their first time meeting.
Okay.
Who's doing that?
Dating, is this dating.com? Is this like RadioU or whatever? Is this
the expensive
the
one?
Influencer dating app where that's the only way. It's the only way.
You look at this and you're like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't do that. They're saying from museums to exclusive restaurants, island excursions. They're excited about the prospect of impressing on the first date. So kind of going all out.
And then we also have 45% of people who are planning a first date say they met people in other cities during, I guess, the pandemic and are planning to travel to meet them, which that's high too. I guess if you're online dating, the odds are higher.
Well, I like Jason. He just texted in. Spending $100 on the first date is not necessary. Getting married in October. Our first date was Cold Stone Creamery.
There you go.
That's ice cream and a walk in the park.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Hey, you get a little crazy at Cold Stone. $100 is definitely in the possibilities, but
Jason, we could add enough extras.
yeah. That's and Cold Stone is, we all know it's pricey enough, but
that's affordable compared to an island excursion.
Four milkshakes. Cold Stone. But hey, it's still, he's right though. But yeah, I guess people are really going all out on the first date, and I think Nikki and I's and Jason's advice is you don't have to go crazy on the first date to impress somebody. If you have to spend that much, it doesn't necessarily mean like you might just be spending it because that makes you feel better. But at the end of the day, if you really want to make a connection, just do something simple where you actually get a chance to talk.
Yeah, that
which
would be
doesn't have
perfect.
to cost a lot of money at all.
It does not. That can be free.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Some dating advice from dating.com.
I don't know. That made it worse.
Now you're like out there feeling bad. I only spent $25 on the first
wasn't
date.
helpful.
Yeah, we're never going anywhere.
The Riot with Hudson and Nikki.
Oh my God, no way.
On RadioU.
No way, no way.
It's not just Hudson and Nikki with you. It's also new producer Isaiah,
Yay.
who officially becomes the real producer tomorrow when he starts reading the news for you.
Which is what we can't do.
Right.
So exciting.
We can't do the news. But
and he's totally into sports. So.
yes, this Isaiah, I don't know if you know, but before there used to be a guy here that worked with me, and we had a segment called Sports Fight because we always would disagree, which was I still feel was like one of the best names for a segment ever.
So do you want Isaiah to maybe not always like what you like? Is that what you're hoping
well,
for?
that would make controversy always makes for
It does.
interesting
Disagree with him every
topics.
time. Every time.
Well, pick
But
a
you don't
side.
have to.
Yes,
we could
of
also
course.
have a very convivial
Yes.
morning show sports routine as well. So, but I am interested in your thoughts on this because you are a sports guy, right? You played lacrosse, right?
Yep.
Did you play anything else?
I played football, basketball, and lacrosse in high school,
wow.
and then I played lacrosse in college as well.
That sounds like everything.
Yeah.
It was everything. That's
Why
pretty
aren't
much
you
all
at
I
the
did.
Olympics right now?
I know, right? I know. I didn't quite make the cut, I guess.
I know. And we didn't sign up in enough time to send him
Yeah.
as our representative.
Well, I don't think lacrosse is at the Olympics.
No.
Which I'm sure you're probably upset about.
Yeah, it is. It should be.
It should be recognized.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we had talked a bit about the Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners joining the Big 12.
Yep.
And then I think you were like, no, it's not probably going to happen. But everybody was saying, well, maybe it is.
Yeah. Well, okay. Normally when we get rumors like that, it's just like, yeah, there's always rumors. But when the rumors came up, I think it was last week, there seemed to be a little more smoke behind them to where it might be real. And now the news is that Texas and Oklahoma have informed the Big 12 they're not going to renew their media deal, which means at the end of 2025, at the latest, they will be free from the Big 12 to go wherever they may go. It doesn't mean they can't leave before then. They might have to pay more, but the idea is now they just need to officially say to the SEC, we want to join. And then the SEC needs 11 of their 14 schools to sign off on that. And then all of a sudden, you've got a 16-team SEC.
So, Isaiah, if you had to guess, let's say that Texas and Oklahoma wanted to join sooner and leave the Big 12, how much do you think they'd have to pay as the penalty for leaving their contract early?
It has to be millions of dollars. It has to be.
It is.
If I had to guess, just when you think about how much TV deals and just everything for the conference in general, it's got to be over like close. I would say between $50 and $100 million.
75 to 80 million
There
would
you
be
go.
the
Oh my
penalty if they left early, but they still have to give 18 months notice.
That would be a drop in the bucket, though, don't you think?
Yeah, that does show
Yeah.
like how much do they make? It must be
At least
astronomical.
for the football programs. For everything else, of course, like there's not a lot of money to be made at all. So all the other, they'd just be taking that out of the football budget, I guess.
So they want to join the Texas Longhorns and Sooners. They want to join the SEC.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? I'm assuming you're an Ohio State fan.
I'm an Ohio State fan. In my mind, this is an absolute disaster.
You think?
I think this is worst case scenario because it's like if it's like the top person in every friend group just want to be friends with each other and just leave all their old friends in the dust. Like,
yeah.
Imagine if they do this and they make a huge SEC. Then it's going to become, can Ohio State stay in the Big Ten?
Yeah.
If Ohio State leaves the Big Ten, then where's the rivalry with Michigan?
Right.
You know? All the tradition, Oklahoma and Texas, they literally made the conference together. And now they're leaving all the tradition and everything. So I think it's going to be really, really hard for some of these bigger schools like Ohio State and Michigan to stay like even competitive with the SEC because that schedule is going to be just so crazy.
But do you think there's two things? One, do you think the Big Ten already has 14 teams, right?
Yes.
So they just have to add 2 more on to equal it out with the SEC, and they can get the scraps of the Big 12. Because I assume the Big 12, if this continues to go down, is more likely to just dissolve where all the rest of the 8 schools wind up somewhere else. And yes, we're saying Big 12, and we're talking about 2 teams leaving and 8 other teams.
And suddenly it's
And the Big
dissolving.
10 that already has 14 teams, none of it makes sense.
No.
They don't teach you to count in college,
Oh, so they
apparently.
don't. I thought they'd have to keep the same amount of teams that the name is. So they don't.
Well,
No.
that's
They
really
should.
kind of you to think that.
I
They
thought, well,
should.
they have to add 2 more, don't they?
The problem is soon we'll have 4 Big 16s, and that would be very confusing.
It's too much.
But the other thing is, do you think Ohio State now, 2 things. For Ohio State specifically, it shouldn't hurt them too much that they're in a, what many would say, a weaker conference than the SEC, because they can just, there's going to be 12 teams that are making the playoffs, so they just have an even easier way to get in. And then the other thing is, even in the SEC, when you have 14 teams or 16 teams, you can't play 15 conference games. So isn't it going to just be like there's 2 conferences in a conference and not everybody's even playing each other?
Is it a monster?
Yeah, it's gonna be in my mind a disaster. But I don't think much changes for Ohio State just because they are so good every year. So as long as they win all their games, I mean, they're going to make it in every year no matter what.
Right.
But for the SEC...
Even if Kansas State and Oklahoma State wind up in the Big Ten or something.
I can only hope not. Yeah. But even if the SEC does have that many teams, it'll just be a scheduling nightmare. I can't imagine.
Yeah. That's the one thing. You're going to have Alabama, and somehow they're going to have a conference schedule because there's so many teams in the conference. They get to somehow avoid LSU and Texas and Oklahoma and Georgia because of the way the schedules line up. Yeah.
Well, this is Isaiah. He's joining the Riot. He is our new show producer, and he likes sports too.
Yeah. So, and then Nikki can just, you can chime in, Nikki, whenever you want.
But if not, I like hearing your guys' thoughts on it, because then I use those same thoughts later in the day when I try to pretend like I know about it.
Hudson, Nikki, The Riot, RadioU.
Welcome in new producer Isaiah. He's
right.
joining the show, and we've been fielding questions for him all morning long.
I feel like I should still clap since your first day, but tomorrow there's no clapping.
Every time I come on, it's just a little clap in the background. We need like a hotkey for that.
Well, Chrissy was saying, that you need to bring in donuts for everyone, right?
There's a donut rule the first day you're on the air?
Well, if you want to ingratiate yourself.
Yeah, that's just proper Riot protocol. She just wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Okay.
Hey, and then if you go to Krispy Kreme, they'll probably just give them to you for free anyway. So it's not a big imposition.
We don't want the glazed ones. We want some other ones. You got to bring in the good ones.
We have to get that reminds me, we need to send them out to actually get the carnival donuts because we need to try those on the show.
The cotton candy ones.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, Chrissy, thank you for that. If you want to say hey at RadioU Riot on Facebook, you can see Isaiah there. Also, RadioU Official on Instagram. Everyone loves your polo, your shirt today. They keep saying you're too dressed up for us.
Yeah.
I dressed too nice. Today's my first day on air. What do you want me to come in?
But listen, we're on air. They won't ever see what we wear except a picture or two here and there. So you don't have to wear polos if you don't want to, unless you like to.
I kind of this morning I was like, I need to dress up a little nicer today. Tomorrow, sweatpants.
You've been coming in. You've been coming in for about a week, and you've seen how we dress, and you're thinking, I need to dress a little nicer.
Well, it's my first day on air. I want to dress the part,
You want to? Well, everybody has been noticing that you put in the effort.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
Happy that's appreciated.
Okay. Is there any more that you have? Because I have a question.
No, there was one other. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Nikki, or Isaiah, this is a very important qualification for you. How do you pronounce this right here?
Oh.
Can you see it?
Oh, yes, I can see. You mean Reese's?
No! No!
What do you mean? How do you say it?
It's Reese's.
Reese's?
And he's
There's a few hills I will die on, and this is one of them.
Yours is chocolate and peanut butter.
Reese's?
It's Reese's.
See, doesn't it make me feel better, though, that I'm not the only one who says
that's
Reese's?
why it's so frustrating.
Reese's.
It's Reese's.
That may never come out of my mouth again.
You're going to have to, because he really is passionate about it.
I'm going to have to try.
Reese's and Aaron Rodgers.
Those are
my bugaboos. You never say anything bad about Aaron Rodgers, and you don't call him Reese's.
It's
because it's Reese's.
And you must get it correct. Well, we were noticing that there's a new trending item that we thought Isaiah might be able to help us with. Mm-hmm. There's a trending bucket of Reese's snack-sized peanut butter cups. So it's 375 pieces, and this is the must-have
That's
item.
The Reese's pieces we like.
This is the Reese's. They're saying, this is good for Halloween, even though a morning show will do. I don't need this for trick-or-treat. But the thing is, it's only at Sam's Club. And we know someone in this room who has a Sam's Club membership. And we thought, even I know you said your mom has one. Uh-huh. She doesn't know us yet, but would she be willing
of course.
to Sam's Club
Absolutely.
to get us this? And if they're not there, would she be willing to go back and keep trying?
My mother would absolutely. She would run every Sam's Club in the Columbus area.
Maybe we should make her the producer.
Maybe maybe not every Sam's Club. No.
So it is a 12-pound bucket of Reese's.
12 pounds. Oh.
It's 12 pounds.
That hurts a little bit to hear, doesn't it?
375 individually wrapped Reese's peanut butter cups in there. And they do say that, it's good to have for trick or treat. It's $47.98.
Oh, my goodness.
That's only 13 cents per cup.
That's it.
That's pretty good.
All right. Send your mom out. Can she, how is her health? Can she lift a 12-pound bucket of Reese's?
Oh, yeah. Easily. She's probably on her way right now.
And the show is willing to pay for it. Believe it or not, we have a food budget, so we can pay the $50. But can you imagine? We'd set that out on the table if we had almost 400 Reese's cups.
It would probably last us like a week.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And we could have that as being your welcome to the show gift.
We'll take that instead of donuts.
You have to eat all of them. So.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh no! I missed it! Do it again!
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.